What's going on, everybody? This is JohnJake Baseball on the mic, coming at you with a brand new episode of the USBL as we go ahead and wrap up the month of April here in season number 2. So should be a good one, man. So make sure you go ahead, smash that like button for me, and then also on top of that, hit that subscribe button for me as well if you happen to be brand new, you like MLB The Show content. As we'll go ahead and get into our first game of this episode, the Charlotte Cougars and the Washington Senators. Both teams are currently hanging around 500 right now. Both off to decent starts, but a win could definitely go a long way, even in a 162 game season. We saw some really tight races back in season number 1. So that just goes to show that even in a long regular season like in professional baseball, every single game still counts. So Charlotte, they got themselves a 1-0 lead here, top of the 3rd inning, as Ian Happ, he's currently at the plate right now. Matthew Thompson, we're gonna get him out of there, but Ian Happ, a no-doubter, got that over the massive red brick wall. Imagine that. It's only 378 feet, but the velocity that he had on that ball, the air time that he had on that ball, gets him that solo home run. And even though Joey Votto will end up striking out in that next at-bat, Cougars will jump out to an early 2-0 lead here, as early on the Charlotte Cougars are off to a good start. Castiano, he's going to get that infield single, even though the Washington Senators did have that shift on him, and it continues a huge winning streak, or not, game hitting streak for him, a 12-game hitting streak that dates back to last season. Castiano, he's going to end up scoring here a couple of batters later off of a sacrifice fly. So keeps a hitting streak going, gets another run on the board. So it ends up being a 3-0 lead for the Charlotte Cougars, as that is going to go ahead and, well, we'll end the 4th inning, but Washington's got to get going here. They only got a few hits so far on the day. We'll see if Kentel Marte can at least go ahead and see about getting Washington finally on the board here. Pablo Lopez, he's still doing some good work right now. Came in as a free agent acquisition from the Nashville Blues, but we see our first major hit of the day as Kentel Marte, he's going to drive in the first run for the Washington Senators. It was a good cutoff throw, but just simply too deep, as Andrew Bartendi looks to close the gap a little bit more here as well. He's going to get an extra base hit as well. So Kentel Marte, he's going to get home as well. And the tying run for the Washington Senators here in the bottom of the 4th inning are going to make this just a 1-run game. And the tying run also sitting at second base. Now 3rd base, a few batters later, Mitch Garver, although Joey Votto misses the ball. That is an uncharacteristic play. And the Washington Senators, they do go ahead and rally back off of a costly error from Joey Votto. Although we do see a surprising change here, top of the 5th inning. Matt Thompson actually does end up getting taken out a little bit early. And Alex Benninger, he's going to come into the game, but not looking good for him, man. Giving up the lead right from the jump. And that is a no-doubter home run. Marcell Ozuna not only giving his team the lead, but also with a milestone in his professional baseball career, able to go ahead and get his 200th home run hit, as Joey Votto will go ahead and just end up doing some window shopping. He ends up striking out looking, as we will see Charlotte retake the lead here, a 4-3 affair, as David Bodie currently 1-for-1 and starting the season off pretty hot. I know it's only 10 games, but 423, that is a great way to start your season off, and that batting average is going to keep getting higher, as that is going to be a double that gets off of the wall. And it's the 3rd double of the season for David Bodie. Sets up an RBI opportunity for Tyler Flowers, who hits this one deep out into left center field. And it's going to be gone like a girl in a country song. Just barely gets it over the wall. And Charlotte will go ahead. They extend the lead. And they'll now be up 6-3. As Tim Anderson up at the plate dealing with Ronaldo Lopez. And he will also end up going ahead and doing some window shopping. He ends up striking out looking. But it's now a 3-run lead here as we do see Josh James make himself his first appearance here on these live USBL games. And Josh James not doing so bad. Get the strikeout there, but gotta throw a better pitch than that at the end of the day. And it's Washington off of Eduardo Escobar's very first home run of the season, by the way. It is now all of a sudden just a 1-run game. It has been pretty back and forth. When it seems like when one of these teams are going to pull away, all of a sudden the other team just ends up coming back. So it's been a pretty exciting affair thus far as Raciel Iglesias look to try to sweep things up, as Washington will also make a move of their own. They're going to call out Nick Madrigal to pinch hit here in the bottom of the 8th inning. And first at bat of the season comes through in a major way, as this could end up giving Washington the tie, and it does. So how about that? Nick Madrigal with his very first hit of the season, and it ends up making it a tie game. Mitch Garver giving them the lead as he finds a hole in that infield. Give credit to that right fielder though. That is almost a throw that gets him out there at home plate, and that is all she wrote for this one. Washington rallies back here in the latter portion of this ball game. They will improve to 6-4. Wow, the Charlotte Cougars fall to 4-6 on the season. So the Philadelphia Patriots will actually continue their reign of terror here early on in the month of April. They get another blowout victory. They beat the Aurora Lightning 12-1, and they were a team that was also doing pretty good going in. They were both 6-3 going into this game, but Philadelphia Patriots just tore them apart. Austin Gomber gets awarded with the loss. He comes in with a 37 ERA in this matchup, and it might have gone lower, but not by much. Zach Logue will end up getting the win. He allows 1 run in 5 innings pitched, and then Bryce Harper does end up winning player of the game. 3 for 5, 2 home runs, a double, and 5 RBIs to go with it as well. Bryce Harper with a great performance in this game. So let's go ahead and check out a divisional matchup that hopefully will be a little bit more competitive. We'll have the Chicago Freeze taking on the Minnesota Ducks, as both teams have kind of been off to sluggish starts. Chicago only 5-3 right now. Meanwhile, Minnesota is under 500 as of right now. As we will go ahead, we'll get things topped off here in the top of the first inning, and not wasting too much time, Andrelton Simmons hits a nice ball out there into right field, and off rip, we already see runners in scoring position, and this is not a team that you want to make any pitching mistakes with. As Xander Bogaerts, he's struggled a little bit to start things out. The World Series, winner from Game 7. He was a huge reason for that. His home run sealing the Game 7 victory back in Season 1. Has been struggling a little bit, but he does end up bringing in an RBI off of a sacrifice fly. As we go ahead and see if Joey Gallo can still bang, but he misses badly, and that is how Minnesota gets out of that first inning. Down 1-0, but that's not going to last too terribly long, though. As in the bottom of the 4th, we do end up seeing the response from Garrett Cooper, second home run of the season. And just like that, we got ourselves a little bit of a response right here. All tied up at 1 apiece. Been a nice little pitcher's duel. Garrett Crotchet will come in as Luis Castillo had a little bit of an inefficient 5-inning showing here in USBL primetime action, as we'll see what Garrett Crochet can do, as we will see a double hit off the rip here on Drelden Simmons again. Second double of the day for him, as Joey Gallo has another runner in scoring position. He struck out last time out, though, looking to avoid the golden sombrero. But look at this. The catcher is too lazy to get the ball, so Garrett Crochet has to go all the way from the mound to get it, flipping to him. That could have easily been a run that was avoided. I don't know what Thad Gonzalez was thinking there, man. I have absolutely no idea. And it cost them a run. And with how close this game has been, if that ends up being the difference, I'm sure Minnesota is going to be thinking about that run that ends up being given up. You absolutely hate to see it, as Kyer Seager will at least strike out the end. The top of the 6th inning. As we go ahead, jump into the 8th inning now. Tyler Thornburg going to come into the game, and he has been down horrendous as of right now. An ERA close to 10, and not really giving himself any favor. He's got bases loaded. And Alex Verdugo, he sends this out deep. This could carry out the ballpark. Oh, that did not leave the ballpark. That would have been so many more runs, but Chicago will end up sealing the deal. They win this one by a final score of 5-1, and Chicago will get themselves on track with a 6-3 record. As we go ahead and check on the Memphis Bobcats, they are going to be going ahead and taking on the Louisville Colonials. Now, Memphis last year, they were shown as the worst rated team in baseball back in season 1, but they certainly, exceeded expectations. Their rebuild's going pretty well. They're still in the bottom 5 in terms of talent overall, but I mean, they got some good pieces in place in Memphis, and gotta give them that. But not a great start for them. Bottom of the 1st inning, there's already bases loaded for Sam Galaggio, or a run is going to end up scoring. And yet somehow, Louisville, they're not the best offensive team. You have bases loaded, nobody out, and you only find a way to score 1 run there. That's pretty tough if you ask me. And so is giving up a wild pitch. So a runner at second base for Fernando Mendoza, and hits it down the left field line. And speed kills, man. That is why it's so important to have that kind of speed out there, as a pitcher can't fully focus on the batter. And now you got to deal with Chris Bryant, one of the better hitters in the USBL. Almost won the batting title last season for Memphis, despite being on a meddling team at best, as Chris Bryant showing why he has that talent and ability, able to drive that run in with ease. And we will see the Memphis Bobcats take a lead here in the top of the 4th inning, and they might not possibly be done yet. They still got Giancarlo Stanton, and he hits it pretty well out there into the outfield. Charlie Blackmon gonna get it in quickly, but we do see runners at the corners, though. Chris Bryant at third, Giancarlo Stanton at first base. We'll see if Nico Goodrum can bring him home. 1 out here in the top of the 4th inning. This is hit pretty darn well. Can't get there. The center fielder cannot stay on his feet. That ends up being at least 1 run. We might see Giancarlo Stanton get home as well, and he does. So a 2-run RBI for Nico Goodrum, who also does end up getting his first triple of the season as well, as we do end up seeing yet another run come in. Nico Goodrum going to be able to come home as well. So lots of runs being scored right now. Got that 5-1 lead here. Is now bottom of the 4th inning. David Peralta, he comes up to the plate and gets this out pretty dang far as well. The ball is misjudged, and because of that, that's going to end up being a double as well. The Louisville Colonials, we're going to go ahead and get a response here. We'll see what Buster Posey can do, and he's going to go ahead, poke this one out into center field. Not too terribly hard hitting by any means, but it does bring a run in as well. The gap gets narrowed. As now, Nico Hoerner up at the plate. He's 0 for 1 so far today, but has a chance to tie it. And while we won't necessarily do that, this should at least bring a run in, take an advantage as well. Stealing second base while the action was at home, and Memphis has to go to the bullpen early. They go to Homer Bailey, one of those teams that do end up carrying a 6th starter, and it turns out really well. Memphis gets out of that, and so we will end up seeing a 5-3 game. But the Memphis Bobcats, they're still hanging on to that lead though, as now we are out here in the top of the 6th inning right now. Giancarlo standing back at it again with the white fans, and he certainly can hit it pretty dang far. That ball ended up being 409 feet, his 2nd home run of the season. And Memphis improves their lead, now 7-3. Also getting some help from the defense as well, as we end up seeing an error out there by Trey Turner. So inning stays a little bit longer, but nothing really come out of it, as we do end up seeing some little window shopping action there. But Memphis taking a commanding lead right now. They're going to be up 7-3 as of right now. And they're looking to continue to add on to this thing, as well as Dom T. Williams. He's been quiet all day today. This is deep in the right field. Joey Blackman cannot get to it. And Dom T. Williams, he's got that speed and hit out there in the right field corner. That is a recipe for a triple right there, if I've ever seen one. And Dom T. Williams just barely keeps his 6-game hitting streak alive thanks to that hit. That probably would have been his last at-bat of the game unless Louisville makes some kind of comeback. And looks like Dom T. Williams is also going to go ahead and go home as well. We might see a triple here. Going to be a play at the third base. And look at that. John Birdie rushing down the baseline. And it sets up yet another RBI opportunity for Fernando Mendoza. As Mendoza's going to go ahead, hit it to the shortstop. It's going to be a weak out there for the second baseman. No problem whatsoever. But does bring John Birdie home, and it does improve the lead. So it's now a 9-3 affair. But you know this Louisville squad's not going to give up so easily, as Nick Montano almost gets into a double play. But look at this. We have an error out there by Chris Bryant. So instead of a tailor-made double play, we got runners on first and second. Nobody is out yet, as George Polanco gets it past Chris Bryant once again. But play is safe. Although that is a heck of an arm though by Giancarlo Stanton. But George Polanco does end up bringing him home, as Memphis goes to the bullpen. They go to Brad Wick, who will go ahead and make his 3rd appearance of the season. And Brad Wick just goes to town, just shutting him down real quick, as it looks like that fat lady does end up seeing. And well, we see a surprising amount of drama here in the 9th inning. But that being said, though, the Memphis Bobcats might be a pretty okay team, winning 9-4, and that will end up getting them to 500 on the season.
Thank you for joining us here this evening. We remind you.
So I talked about how the New Orleans
safely.
Kings in the year 2 preview could have potentially struggled, at least at the plate, you know, losing guys like Jordan Alvarez and Rhys Hopkins. But right now, they are taking those words and they are certainly using it as very effective billboard material. Look what they end up doing against the Jacksonville Suns. Winning 11-1, including 6 runs in the 9th inning. They are led by Wilmer Flores, 4 for 5 on the day, 2 homers, 2 doubles to go with it as well, 4 RBIs total on the day. Ryan Brazier will also be awarded for the win, because Mike Fowitsky, he was the starter for New Orleans. He did not make it all the way. It's not even that like Jacksonville is that bad record-wise. They actually have a solid record, but this is now the second time already this season where we tried to like show them, you know, in-game action, and they've been blown out twice already. So maybe some concern maybe with Jacksonville in terms of dealing with the big stage. So we go ahead and take ourselves to Atlanta as we see the Boston Quakers take on this Atlanta Barons squad. And while a certain Atlanta baseball team is doing really good, this Atlanta team in the USBL, not so much, man. 2-10 to start the year off, and they are in danger of being swept by the Boston Quakers, who are off to a good start. But remember, they were the biggest sellers at the USBL trade day back on season number 1. They traded away Nick Anderson, and they traded, I believe, there was another prominent player too as well, but they were both over 90 overalls. But man, Boston looks like they reloaded this year. Jonathan Villar, he was a free agent acquisition. He's turned out extremely well right now. Look at this moonshot, continuing his impressive start to the year. 3rd home run of the year for him, and it didn't even take that long. Ends up getting himself that 1-0 lead, and so does Robert Pusan. Now, if you guys remember him in the year 2 preview, #1 prospect in the USBL, here with the Boston Quakers, here at the big league club, and not taking too long, does end up getting his very first hit of his career. Should be plenty of those coming in the future. So definitely have to go ahead and watch out for how the rest of his career ends up turning out. As Max Muncy, he does some pretty good stuff as well. Ends up getting the 2nd double of the season. As now, Edwin Reyes, he's looking to go ahead and bring Mac Muncy home. He's been on the interstate as of late, but it looks like he might be just getting himself off that interstate in a big way, as we do end up seeing Edwin Reyes. 2nd double of the season turns into an RBI opportunity, and Boston jumps out to an early 2-0 lead here, but Atlanta gonna respond here. They still got some fight in them. I mean, they should have a lot of fight in them. It's only the month of April. Teams usually don't give up that early, but I've been proven wrong before. But I usually don't like to say that it's a must-win game for various teams, especially this early in the season. But like, if you're Atlanta right now, you gotta win this game. You cannot afford to go 2-11. That was the problem that the Denver Bald Eagles had in year 1. They end up starting 8-22. Atlanta on the path of doing just that right now, and that's not going to help right now. Max Muncy getting a 2-run home run, 4th home run of the season for him, as Jake Marniski, who was acquired at the USBL trade day to shore things up as a stopgap in center field, he's been a sneaky good ad for him as well. 2nd home run of the season for him, helps him improve a 5-1 lead, as Luke Weaver doing at least better than good old-fashioned David Price, an aging veterans for Atlanta. But Luke Weaver certainly not perfect at the same time, as this is potentially leaving the ballpark, but just a few feet outside of the foul pole. That just gotta straighten it out a little bit, and I think that'll qualify as straightening it out a little bit. That will be a fair ball, and that is gone like a girl in a country song. So, 2nd home run of the season for him is now. We go ahead now, jumping into the top of the 5th inning. Kevin Vecino coming to the plate. He's 0 for 2 so far on the season. He's going to hit this out into right center field, as we do end up seeing a double for him. And just right from the jump, 1st double of the season for him, by the way. Jake Marniski, he goes ahead. He has another RBI opportunity, and taking advantage as well, although that is almost a really good play out there in center field. Bo Bichette almost managed to get to that one. Still might get the out, but Vecino just sneaks by that tag. And it'll be a 6-3 lead for the Boston Quakers. As now, Donnie Bell with his 2nd at-bat of the day. He's 1 for 1 so far, dealing with Taylor Williams. See if he can bring Jake home. And Jake is going to end up getting home as well. He's got a lot of speed, and surprised he didn't try to throw it directly at home. Thought he could have potentially got him out there. And look at the stats for this Quaker squad. The reason why they have started off as well as they have, that 7-4 start, their offense is doing a lot better. They're in the top 5 right now in terms of runs scored in the American League. If you score like they do, you're going to be in a lot of games, and that's showing here as the number 1 prospect, Robert Pusan, does end up striking out swinging. You're not going to get all of them. As we go ahead and see Max Muncy's 2 for 3. He's been having himself pretty big day so far, and it's going to continue. Oh my goodness. Look at that moonshot. 2nd home run of the day for Max Muncy, and it's now going to be an 8-3 game. Oh my goodness. Boston really sending a message here that this is simply a different baseball team from last year. I don't know if they'll be able to keep it up. We will have to wait and see. It is still very on, like I've said, but right now, man, this Boston Quaker squad is looking really damn good right now. I will have to say that. We'll see if Atlanta can come in with a response. So is Luis Garbato. He's at the plate. He already has 1 home run so far. How about let's make it 2 home runs so far? Sends this out into the skyline. That might have left the stadium. But Bo Bichette could not get it any further. And a big opportunity for Atlanta to come back into this game, but it did not come to fruition. That was probably one of their better chances that Atlanta was going to go ahead and get, to be honest with you. But that being said, we'll see if Garbato can still go ahead and bail this team out. And how about this? A 3rd home run for him. He is literally carrying this offense right now for Atlanta. He is determined to help his team win. He only had 1 home run coming into this game. He now has 4 times that many. Oh my goodness. And it puts Atlanta in range too, even though they won't get any more runs in the bottom of the 7th inning. Gallardo, he's not giving up, man. He wants his team to win in the worst way. Desperate for a victory. And they need this rally as well as Carlos Correa. He ends up striking out swinging. Is now Wilson Contreras comes to the plate. 1 for 2 so far. And look at this. Another home run. Atlanta, the ATL, coming with the rally caps right now. And it's now just a 2-run game. Yohan Lopez gonna come up in here to make sure that things get under control again. Bo Bichette trying to keep the 8th inning going. And that will end the bottom of the 8th. But they'll need to find a way to score on Ken Giles. He's been really good so far this year. 5th appearance so far, but he has not allowed a single run yet in this entire season. Garlabo, who's been so great throughout this game, cannot find any more magic in that bat. And so Boston will hang on. Atlanta made things interesting, but Boston will complete the sweep. They're 8-4, while Atlanta falls to 2-11. Speaking of teams that have been pretty surprising so far this season, we gotta go ahead and check out the Columbus Jets, man. They were also sellers at the trade day, but stroke of luck, man, sometimes is all you need. They got Clayton Kershaw, and maybe some of that veteran presence has been really helpful. He's not pitching today, obviously. We will see Matthew Boyd out there on the mound, taking on the Honolulu Islanders, who are doing a pretty good job here in their first season out in the Islands in their brand new home. Nice stadium, by the way. So it'll be really interesting to see how Columbus does versus a legitimate team like the Islanders, as Mike Trout is at the plate. And honestly, if you want to beat the Islanders, one thing you really need to do is make sure you don't have any runners on base. When Mike Trout comes to the mound, that was such a risky send, but it works out for them, and they take a 1-0 lead here in the bottom of the first inning. Eloy Jimenez can't add on to it. He ends up striking out, though. As now, Starlin Castro, he's at the plate right now. He's got runners on first and second. And that could very well bring in yet another run as well. Those throws just gotta be a little bit quicker. I mean, they're right there to make the plays, just a little bit off and just a little bit late. Baseball really is a game of inches. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. And now Anthony Rizzo, batting .310 already on the season. He's got runners in scoring position, second and third. 2 outs, so we'll see if he can go ahead and get his first home run of the season. He has not hit a banger here in the month of April thus far. That could always change in one pitch, although Rizzo does not hit that home run. But that being said, Hawaii does end up bringing in a couple more runs, though. So Hawaii certainly off to a really hot start right now, although all good things, they do gotta come to an end. Not sure if Gary Sanchez went on that pitch. It looks like he kind of check swinged it. But man, not a good start for Columbus at all. No hits and an error. You hate to see it, but Columbus will eventually get a chance to get themselves back in the game as Jock Peterson has the bases loaded in. It's not a hard hit ball by any stretch, but action was forced over to first base. Still brings a run home, and at least make sure that Columbus does not end up getting shut out in this game. And that's one thing that Columbus still needs to improve on before they really do become a true contender. Granted, they are certainly looking better than they did back in season number 1 when they had to get rid of Jose Abreu at the USBL trade day to the Chicago Freeze, a divisional opponent that might haunt them for a little bit. As now, it's 5-1 here in favor of the Islanders, and it's gonna keep growing. This might be 7-1. Not gonna even try the throw at home this time around. And Hawaii making a statement as well. They're proving that, hey, they had a meltdown in the month of August, in that month of September, that costed them a playoff appearance after they went about getting Matt Chapman at the USBL trade day, and proving that, hey, we are actually a really good baseball team, and you need to make sure that you go ahead and take us seriously. As Eloy Jimenez, he's still looking for his first hit here in the bottom of the 8th inning, and I think it's safe to say that he'll end up getting that hit after all, as we will end up seeing Eloy Jimenez hit his 5th home run of the season. And Columbus, they may still be a much improved team, but they still got some work to do nonetheless. They lose this one 8-1, despite only hitting 7 times. Play of this episode, I wanted to show you guys this box score between the LA Saints and the Denver Bald Eagles. And Denver absolutely went off in this one. Look at Denver's stats. 27 hits. They were 27 for 48 on the day. Not only did everybody get a hit in this one, but not to mention, they also almost had everyone get multiple hits in this game. So it was a great performance. Saw a ton of home runs as well, a ton of RBIs, still all that good stuff. And it's not even that LA necessarily pitched all that bad, or played all that bad on offense. They did get 7 hits in this one. Dustin May did not last very long though. He only survived 4 innings. He had a relatively high pitch count, but it looks like they thought about giving Dustin May the winning pitch, but they're going to give it to their reliever instead, in Anderson. But yeah, man, they just got absolutely tore apart. Their starting pitcher, they only survived 1 inning, and look at what they had to go to the bullpen quite a bit today. We see 3, 4, 7 relievers. They definitely basically cleared out the bullpen for LA. That's going to put them in a little bit of trouble moving forward, but great win by Denver. And even though they don't have the best record still, which I'll go into when we show the standings, they are at least off to a better start than they were last season. The rebuild showing promise in Denver. So for one of the last games I wanted to show in this episode, we got the San Antonio Outlaws going out west, taking on this Las Vegas Lounge Lizard squad. And Las Vegas has been looking pretty good, man. 9-6. They are on top of the AL West as of right now, leading the famed Houston Hurricanes as well, who made it all the way to the ALCS last season. But this game is not about them. We got to talk about this Las Vegas squad. They got some dudes, man. Miguel Sano, let's start with him real quick. He hits this one deep out into center field. This is all the way out to the wall. Miguel Sano getting a triple to start things off here in the bottom of the second inning. And if Miguel Sano, honestly, was just a little bit faster, that could have certainly been an inside the park home run. We haven't seen any of those in this episode. Maybe that changes here with the way that this ballpark is assigned, but I'm sure Lourdes Guerrero Jr. is going to go ahead and get that run in as we go ahead and see Yan Gomes for the San Antonio Outlaws, see if they can respond from the one run that they did just went ahead and gave up, as Steven Strasburg gives a deep hit out into center field, and that's going to at least be a double as well. And it does end up being just that, just ends up being a double, fourth double of the season for him. As now 2 batters later, Ramiel Tapia, he comes to the plate. He's got some runners at the corner, and hey, it will be a sacrifice fly, but it still looks the same on the scoreboard at the end of the day. In this game, all of a sudden, now all tied up at 1. Pretty back and forth affair to start this game so far. As now, Jose Ramirez, he's at the plate right now, but we see a steal. How about that? Eric Mejia with the second stolen base of the season for him. Gets him into scoring position, but San Antonio couldn't do anything. They had a chance to go ahead and take the lead, but they do end up going ahead and fumbling the bag. You absolutely hate to see it. As now Las Vegas, they're back at the plate and they're hitting the ball. They're taking the cover off the baseball, man. If those walls were a little bit low, I mean a lot lower, these would be home runs. You know, these high walls are, in a way, really bailing out San Antonio. You know, this could have easily been a 5-1 game, 6-1 way with the way they've been hitting the ball, but instead, only a 2-1 lead here as Josh Jung does end up getting in another run. So Las Vegas, they enjoy this early 2-1 lead. Steven Strasburg's kind of dealing as well. He's already got 5 strikeouts in this one, but Chris Davis gonna bring him back down to reality though, as Chris Davis is looking to stretch this out to a double. It's gonna be close, and Chris Davis just ends up barely sneaking in there for a double of the season for him. So Nate Lowe now has a runner in scoring position. He can go ahead and tie this game as well, and Chris Davis gonna get in, and this game now all tied up. Once again, it is tied at 2. As now, bottom of the 5th, Kyle Tucker, 1 for 2 on the day. Gonna get it right in between the middle of the field as well, and now Las Vegas will take the lead right back. So whenever Las Vegas gets a run, San Antonio scores, but it's back and forth, man. No team really pulling away. At least not yet. As we'll go ahead, get into the top of the 9th inning, Seth Lugo has a chance to go ahead here and close this game out once and for all, but starts off by walking Nate Lowe. Actually, that's Chris Davis there, but it will look like San Antonio, they're going to bring Eli White from the bench, bring his speed out there on the field. Is now Nate Lowe, he's up at the plate, and one of the first pitches, man, Eli White ends up stealing second base, and that's why you do that pinch runner thing, man. Eli White getting into scoring position, and thanks to a sacrifice fly that moves Eli White to third base, tying run is only 90 feet away. Seth Lugo needing a strikeout, but Instead, it's a fly out into center field. Eli White's got that elite speed. And it was just going to be really hard to gun down Eli White from that far out, too. And what's even worse is that Las Vegas, they cannot score in the bottom of the 9th inning, as that's going to end up being caught out there in the outfield. So, that being said, game will tie at 3. We end up going into extra innings, and it's kind of been status quo until we get here into the top of the 11th, as Las Vegas does end up bringing in a new pitcher, and Nate Lowe, who helped tie this ball game up, now gives San Antonio their first lead of this entire game. And what a time to get it right now. A 2-run lead. Las Vegas will go to the bullpen to make sure no other runs end up being scored. We'll see if Raimel Tapia has something to say about it. He's 3 for 8 in the series so far. He ends up hitting a nice one out in the center field, and San Antonio adds yet another run. 6-3. Runners at the corners too. They will end up not getting any more runs in this inning, as now San Antonio, they bring out their closer, Jose Leclerc, who has struggled quite a bit this season, to be honest with you guys. 6.75 ERA. You want a little bit more out of your closer, and that might be why San Antonio has been under 500 to start things out here. But at the same time, though, San Antonio, they close things out, and they win one in 11 innings. And we will see San Antonio get to 7-8, whereas Las Vegas, they will end up falling to 7-9 on the season. So we just finished up playing about a month of baseball so far, so good time to go ahead and check the standings, as well as maybe go in and check out some stats as well as we go into it. And definitely some surprises and definitely some disappointments. First and foremost, let's talk about the Atlanta Barons. You know, they were a team that finished below 500 last year. They weren't sellers at the USBL trade deadline, but based off the start they had right now, they might be trending towards that direction. 5-16 in the month of April. It is absolutely disgusting what they've been doing so far. Boston Quakers playing a lot better though. They're 10-10. New York Knights are currently leading the AL East at 12-9. In the AL Central as well, the Chicago Freeze, the defending champions, they are a little bit sluggish to start things off. They're not too bad, 11-9, so they're definitely in the thick of things, but I mean, it's a much improved division. The Columbus Jets, they are actually looking like a competitive team early, 11-10 after they were sellers just last season. And then the Pittsburgh Force, they were one of the worst teams in the USBL last year too. They're leading the division right now at 13-7. We'll see how long they can keep that up. In the AL East, we see the Honolulu Islanders in their first month in paradise. Definitely no trouble in paradise as of right now. 13-8 to start things out thus far. Currently leading the AL West. Meanwhile, the Houston Hurricanes feeling a little bit of a downward spiral ever since they did get eliminated from the ALCS last year. They're off 8-14, and then no surprises. Seattle Pilots struggling early. They're 9-12 so far. And now moving on to the National League. You know, this is where we don't see a ton of surprises. We just do see Philadelphia Patriots still leading the division, but it is still pretty tight. Washington Senators are a half game back. New Orleans Kings a game back. And the Charlotte Cougars, they are 2 games back as of right now. So pretty competitive division overall, with the exception of Jacksonville, who is lacking a little bit to start the season. But look at this in the NL Central though. The Milwaukee Bears are off to an electric start to start this season. They're on a 4-game winning streak right now. They've won 9 of their last 10 games. And they are 15-6 right now after 1 month of baseball. They are the only team in this division that's over 500 right now. Roar's the closest at 10-10. But the Indianapolis Indians, man, they are a little bit disappointing. They got after, you know, they were able to retain, you know, guys like They got from Edwin Reyes, Francisco Lindor. They also got Jose Altuve. And then not to mention, they signed Jordan Alvarez. So they got some stars on that team, but it's not necessarily gelling right now. 8-12 to start the season. Finally, the NLS, we still see the LA Saints on top of the division, but it seems like a not so great division so far. The San Francisco Seals, who almost won the USBL championship in year 1, they are off to a sluggish start. The Phoenix Firebirds, they've been a little bit disappointed as well. They signed Aaron Judge. They're only 10-10 to show for it right now. They really got to get themselves going as well. And then the Denver Bald Eagles, been a little bit of a pleasant surprise. They're still last place in the NL West, but at least that being said, though, we are seeing some growth from that team already with 8 wins. Remember, they started off 8-22 last year, so they're off to at least a much better start. Should be more competitive as a team. And now would also be a good time to go ahead and see who's leading the league in various statistics right now. Starting off with the American League, we have Jose Abreu. He had an electric month of April, batting .389 to start things off. He is starting to decline a little bit, 35 years old. So I wonder if that's why the Chicago Freeze are not quite where they want to be as a team. Might be part of the reason. It is an older baseball team at the USBL level. Jock Peterson right behind him, .344. He's currently in his prime right now. Jay Bruce, this is a surprising one as well. .339 to start the month of April. Not known for the contact hitting, but here we are with a .339. And then rounding out the top 5, we got Alberto Ybarra at first base. I believe he's not a rookie. He is a second-year pro, but his overall is actually going down. So I don't know how long he can keep this up, but 71 overall, or .338 is pretty good. And then rounding out the top 5, we got Starlin Castro at second, and then Taylor Trammell at the for the Nashville Blues. For home runs, Awario Suarez is currently on top. He is with the Pittsburgh Force right now with 9 home runs. That's going to be followed up by Cody Bellinger from Las Vegas Lounge Wizards, Mike Trout, and Max Muncy. Then rounding out the top 5 is actually a freeway tie, actually. Bryce Hopkins, he was acquired from, I believe, the New Orleans Kings, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, that is the case. Not batting as good as he did last year, from a contact perspective, but 7 homers is not bad. Eloy Jimenez and Jock Peterson as well. Finally, for RBIs, we got Ronald Acuna Jr. leading the way. He has 22 RBIs to start the season. Look at this, 2 Columbus Jet players in the top 5. There's also Jock Peterson in third with 18. Same thing could be said for the Honolulu Islanders. They got Mike Trout, who, no surprise there. Eloy Jimenez is up on this list as well. And then rounding out the top 5, there's also Christian Yelich with 17 RBIs. And Awario Suarez as well with 17 RBIs. Finally, taking a look at the top 5 in ERA, and look at this. Brady Singer, starting pitcher for the Minnesota Ducks. He's out there. He has an ERA of .69 so far. Only one other pitcher can say they have an ERA under 1, and that's Noah Syndergaard. But with the ones, got Brad Keller, that's a 104. Lance Lynn, 126. Delvey Garcia, he's a youngin' too, only 22 years old, an ERA of 1.38, and definitely stepping up from last year too. He had an ERA in the mid 4s, showing a lot of improvement here early on. Now we go ahead and check out the National League. Checking out the lead leaguers for that, and look at this. There are 2 guys here that are batting over 400. Jake Cronenworth leading the way, 438 as of right now. He is one of those. He's been electric to start the year off, taking a huge step forward in terms of being able to get good contact on the baseball. Not too far behind him is Juan Soto, who's been pretty good as well, batting .411 as well to start the season. Also hitting some dingers, 7 homers, 17 ribbies. Then rounding out this top 5, we got Lorenzo Cain. He's .385 right now. Paul Goldschmidt is batting .381. And then Jameer Condolero of the Charlotte Cougars. He's batting .370 right now, currently in his prime, and he's certainly showing it with a strong start to the season. Meanwhile, for home runs, we actually only see one player with double-digit home runs right now, and that's Nick Castellanos. Now, he also has a pretty high batting average right now, .326. So a great start to the season for him, but 10 homers, that's already a third of what he had all of last season, and 24 RBIs to go with it as well. He is distancing himself from guys like Juan Soto and Bryce Harper, who tied for second place, but 3 home runs behind him already. And then there's a huge tie for fourth. Got Francisco Lindor, Jesus Aguilar, Edwin Reyes, Salvador Perez, Alex Bregman, Ian Happ. Just a ton of guys on this list right now. Kiki Hernandez is on there as well. So it'll be, definitely some good hitting out there in the National League. Then for RBIs, definitely a little bit more of a separation. Got Bryce Harper. He's leading the National League right now. 26 RBIs to his name right now. Also in that big tie for third place, I believe. He has 7 homers so far. Then we got 2 San Francisco Seals in Nick Castellanos and Paul Goldschmidt. They're second and third place right now. Kiki is currently in fourth with 20 RBIs thus far on the season. Also batting .306 to go with it. And then the biggest free agent acquisition of the offseason, Aaron Judge, is currently tied for 5th place in the National League. He has 18 RBIs so far, but it hasn't really affected him in the win column. Batting .281, so he is batting better than last season. 5 homers, 18 RBIs to go with it. We'll see if those power numbers come up, because if he stays on pace, it will be less than what he had last season. Also tied with Aaron Judge is Edwin Reyes again, and then Anthony Rendon is here as well. The veteran third baseman, 31 years old, but not showing too many signs of decline right now. 4 homers, 18 ribbies, also batting .360. So with how things are going in terms of hitting for the National League, I am surprised to see what's going on with ERA. 4 guys right now in the National League with an ERA of under 1.0. Walker Buehler is leading the way of .39 ERA, along with just 1 run in 23 innings pitched so far. Max Fry, he's a .6 right now. He had a decent year last year, but stepping up big time so far. Lucas Giolito. Now, Lucas Giolito was a guy, he was not paid very much in the offseason when he was testing free agency. And right now, making teams pay for it. A .79 ERA as of right now. Then we got Jesus Luzardo, San Diego Whales pitcher. Only 24 years old, too. He is 2-0 right now. 4 games started. He's only allowed 3 runs in 27 innings pitched. But not to be outdone, Jack Flaherty also having a great year as well. He was a free agent acquisition from the Cleveland Rockers, and he's rocking out for San Diego as well. 33 innings pitched, only allowing 6 earned runs so far in the season. 2-1 record to show for it as well. So definitely some great pitching going on throughout the league. So with that being said, guys, that is actually going to go ahead and wrap up the month of April. Next episode, we will at least get started with the month of May, and maybe I'll even go ahead and start talking about details on how you can get a custom prospect going into year number 3, through the year 2 USBL draft that is supposed to happen next month. So it'll probably be 2-3 episodes from now the USBL draft will happen. But that being said, should be a good one. So make sure you go ahead and smash that like button. And if you're brand new to the channel as well, you're enjoying the USBL content, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button for me. I would truly appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. This is JohnJake Baseball on the mic signing off. I'm hoping you're all out there having a good one. Take care, everybody.
I love you, Poppy.